Today, we're going to look at a barrel from Ballistic Advantage. I picked up this barrel from the prize table at the 2020 Superstition Mystery Mountain 3-gun match in Phoenix, Arizona. I've mainly used it in my backup rifle during practice sessions, and I've also shot a few PCSL matches with it, so it doesn't have a terribly high round count on it. It measures about a 2 or 3 on the throat erosion gauge, and my best guess is that it has somewhere close to 3,000 rounds through it. Anyway, we're going to look over this barrel and see if it can still hold up to the Ballistic Advantage Sub-MOA Guaranteed. But first, we're going to go over a few details about the barrel. The barrel is from the Ballistic Advantage Hansen Performance Series. The Hansen profile is basically an even taper from the chamber to the muzzle that makes for better balancing and weight distribution when compared to a government profile barrel. It's 16 inches with a mid-length gas system and a .625 gas block journal and a nickel boron treated barrel extension. It has a 5.56 NATO chamber with a 1-7 twist and a recessed 11-degree target crown. The barrel is made from chromoly vanadium steel and has a QPQ corrosion resistant treatment inside and out, and the gas port measures .073 inches. And next we're going to take a look at the barrel through a Borescope. You'll see that the interior of the barrel is a bit darkened due to the QPQ treatment. There is a little bit of fire cracking at the start of the throat, and other than that, there's not a whole lot to see here. The rifling doesn't look too bad. There's a few tool marks in different places throughout the bore. They don't look too bad, but they're there. And here's a look at the gas port, which looks good enough to me. And last, here's a peek at the crown. And that'll do it for the Borescope. Next, we'll go over the shooting setup, ammo, and then head to the range. The barrel was fit into an inspected upper receiver. After greasing the threads, the barrel nut was torqued to 40 foot-pounds. Headspace was checked with Forster 223 headspace gauges. The barrel closed on the no-go gauge with 7 different bolts, but did not close on the 223 field gauge with any bolts, and is well short of the 5.56 NATO max headspace. The barrel was cleaned prior to this range trip. The handguard is free-floated. No muzzle device is used to prevent possible interference. A 3-inch bag rider is used to fit the front rest. Short screws were used with the bag rider to avoid contacting the barrel. An A5 receiver extension is installed with an A5-0 buffer and Spring-Go green spring. The trigger is a Geisley 2-stage super dynamic 3-gun trigger. 10 rounds were fired prior to shooting the first group to foul the bore and zero the scope. The scope is a Vortex Viper 6.5 to 20 by 44. Scope ring torque was confirmed at 15 inch-pounds. Magnification is set at 20 and parallax is set at 100 yards. The barrel will be cooled with a chamber chiller between each group. The velocity of each shot will be recorded by a chronograph, which is placed 8 yards from the muzzle to avoid the muzzle blast triggering the sensors. A shade is used to block direct sunlight and prevent errors caused by reflections. A Mantis X10 Elite is mounted to the front of the handguard. This is an accelerometer that will grade each shot based on how steady the rifle is at the moment of firing, and the groups will be measured by the Ballistic X app. I'll be shooting 30 shots per group to get a decent sample size and a realistic expectation of what this barrel can do in a match type setting. All groups will be fired at 100 yards, which is verified with a laser rangefinder. The point of aim is a small circle at the bottom of the target. The rifle is zeroed, so the point of impact is higher than the point of aim. I do this because it's harder to have a precise aiming point if I keep shooting holes in it. The rifle will be shot off a bench with a front rest and a rear bag. Wind will be monitored with a ribbon. Each group will take about 4 minutes to shoot and will be edited down to about 15 seconds. Today I'll be shooting 4 groups. The first group will be with 55 grain PMC Bronze. Next up, I have some 69 grain Sierra Match King hand loads. The third group will be AAC 77 grain OTM, and the last group will be Federal Gold Medal 77 grain Sierra Match Kings. All right, let's do it. All right, here's a group for the 55 grain PMC Bronze. We had a group size of 2.428 MOA with a mean radius of 0.673 MOA. We had an average velocity of 2705 with a standard deviation of 42, and the extreme spread was 159. The group looks fairly round without any significant outliers, but we'll take a look at a few of the shots here. Shots number 5, shots number 28, and shot number 14. So starting with shot number 5, it was pretty close to the average velocity there, and the Mantis score is 99.6, so it looks fine. And then going to shot number 28, it had the highest velocity at 28.002 with the Mantis score at 99.7, and shot number 14 had the lowest velocity of the bunch, and the rifle stability score was a little bit low at 99.3. Next we'll look at the velocity highs and lows, which I think we already had. The lowest velocity was shot number 14, which is up here, and then highest velocity was shot number 28, which is down here. And next we'll look up at the lowest rifle stability score, which is shot number 23, which is this shot right here. So overall, a pretty good group for PMC Bronze. Usually it doesn't group quite this well. And next up we have some 69 grain hand loads. Alright, Alright, here's a group for the 69 grain hand loads, which is a 69 grain Sierra Match King on top of N140 powder. We get a group size of 3.254 MOA with a mean radius of 0.790 MOA. The average velocity was 2576 with a standard deviation of 20 and extreme spread of 101. The group looks kind of round here. We got a couple of outliers at 22, 23, and 17 that we'll take a look at. So first we'll take a look at shot number 22, which had a velocity just a little bit below average and the rifle stability score looked fine. Next up was shot number 23 over here, which had a velocity just above average and the rifle stability score looked fine at 99.5. And then shot number 17 had a velocity just above average and the rifle stability looked fine at 99.7. Next, we'll take a look at the velocity highs and lows. For the lowest velocity, we had shot number 11 and highest velocity of shot number 1. So the lowest velocity is right here, shot number 11, and then the highest velocity shot number 1, which is over here. And then we'll also take a look at the least stable shot according to the Mantis, with shots number 12 and 4, which are right here and right here. So not the best looking group for the hand loads. And next up, we'll see how the 77 grain AAC does. Alright, here's a group for the AAC 77 grain OTM. We had a group size of 3.119 MOA and a mean radius of 0.975 MOA. The average velocity was 2515 with an SD of 17 and an ES of 81. And the group looks fairly round. However, I did have a couple shots that didn't feel too good. Shot number 3 did not feel good when I broke the shot, and the rifle stability score was a bit low at 98.5. I usually like to see a score of 99.0 or higher. Even if we take out shot number 3, the two shots that are farthest from each other are shots number 6 and 27. So if we take out shot number 3, that still wouldn't affect the group size. And also if we take out shot number 3, that would just change the mean radius to 0.960 MOA, which isn't much of a change. So we're going to leave it in. Also, shot number 4 had a bit lower of a stability score at 98.8. However, that shot's still pretty close to the middle, so we're going to leave that one as is. And next we'll check the velocity highs and lows. We had a lowest velocity shot was shot number 22, which is right here, and then the highest velocity shot was shot number 6, which is right here. So highest velocity shot and then lowest velocity shot. And next up we have the Federal Gold Medal 77 grain Sierra Match Kings. Alright, here's a group for the Federal Gold Medal 77 grain Sierra Match Kings. We had a group size of 2.842 MOA with a mean radius of 0.692 MOA. The average velocity was 2383 with a SD of 11 and an ES of 57. And unfortunately, the target camera died. It's summer here in Arizona. We've had, I think, close to 100 days over 100 degrees. So the camera just couldn't take it anymore. So the data for shots number 9 through 30 aren't matched up. The numbers are incorrect after shots number 8 on here, so that's unfortunate. That happens, I guess. So we're just going to go ahead into the overall results. And here's a look at the overall results. Obviously, my shooting wasn't perfect, and the barrel may perform better or worse with different ammunition, but this is what I was able to do with this barrel, with this ammo on this day. The groups are placed in order by mean radius. The 55 grain PMC Bronze group came out on top, which is a bit odd for a 1-to-7 twist barrel, but everything wasn't too far behind. And overall, I would say these groups fairly represent my experience with the barrel, in that it doesn't really shoot any ammo particularly well, but it doesn't really hate any particular ammo either. So that could be a good thing or bad, depending on how you're looking at it. Moving on to the leaderboard, we can see how this barrel stacks up against other barrels that I've shot. The rankings are based on the best 100-yard 30-shot group as measured by mean radius. Obviously, this isn't a completely fair comparison. The barrels may have shot different ammo, the weather was different, and the shooting setup may have been slightly different, among other variables, but I still think this gives me some useful information. Anyway, the Ballistic Advantage barrel came in 4th place, just a little bit behind the Faxon. Anyway, how did this all line up with the Ballistic Advantage Sub-MOA Guarantee? The Sub-MOA Guarantee is based on a 3-shot magazine-fed group with factory ammo. So I took each 30-shot group and broke them down into 10 3-shot groups. So that would be shots 1 to 3, shots 4 to 6, shots 7 to 9, and etc. Unfortunately, I was not able to do this with the Federal Gold Medal load since my target camera died, but we still have a few groups to work with. So as you can see from the groups highlighted in green, technically I was able to shoot multiple Sub-MOA 3-shot groups. Obviously, not every 3-shot group was Sub-MOA, but that's not necessarily what's being guaranteed by Ballistic Advantage. Anyway, I think this is a pretty good illustration of why I personally don't usually pay attention to 3-shot groups and instead use 30-shot groups. 3-shot groups just don't seem to be very consistent for me, and they don't provide me with useful information most of the time. What are my overall thoughts about this barrel? I mainly use this barrel in my backup rifle, and I use it for PCSL matches, where the targets can be farther than 200 yards away, and the targets can be smaller than 8 MOA. So for that use case, this barrel worked out pretty well for me. But if I was looking for a barrel to make a more precise shot, I don't have a whole lot of faith in this barrel, as I found other barrels to be a little bit more precise. On the upside, I like the Henson contour. I feel like having less front end weight helps make transitions a little bit easier, and the barrel is pretty well gassed with a .073 inch gas port. So let me know what you thought this barrel did in the comments below, and if you've had an experience with a Ballistic Advantage barrel, let me know how your barrel performed for you, and that'll do it for now. I'll see you next time. Later.